Good day and welcome back to another episode of On Location. Today we're going to look at a critical organization that has literally saved thousands of lives, and they're sitting right here in our backyard. And welcome to the Central Illinois Community Blood Center, and we're talking today with Tara Matheson. Thank you very much for inviting us in and giving us an overview, basically, of what's going on in Central Illinois. Big things have happened over the last couple of years, and you have built this incredible building.
I'm very glad you invited me to talk about the Blood Center, one of my very favorite things to do. I've been with the Blood Center for about 14 years, so I obviously am very proud to work here, and my job is to recruit donors. So the more I talk about the Blood Center, the better.
How challenging is that, recruiting new blood donors?
Well, I'll give you a statistic. About 38% of the population is eligible to donate blood. About 10% of those people do. So encouraging donors to donate blood who've not done it before, it's a challenge. We do have strategies we use, of course, but ultimately we encourage anyone who's not donated blood before to try it. It's really not a big deal, and the person's life you're going to save you may not meet, but ultimately you are saving a life.
Because of so many people in need of blood.
You got it.
And this time of year, it's frigid outside, folks, and right now you maybe see less donations. Is that correct?
The weather plays a huge role in whether donors come through our doors to donate blood. We often see on rainy days, it could go either way. Donors don't have much to do because it's raining, so they come see us at the donor center. But the cold temperatures often come with snow and freezing rain and the inability to really get around safely. And when that happens, we do see fewer blood donors. So far this year, we've been really fortunate with the snow and the ice, but in years past that I can remember, we've really struggled with getting donors to donate to keep the blood coming for the patients who need it. So this year we've been pretty lucky, but I know there is snow to come. So.
And you also go out to schools and do blood donations at schools or businesses. Tell me how that works.
That is like planning a party, actually 4 to 5 parties every day. We have about 2 buses that we use and then 2 trucks where we can actually take equipment and set up inside a business or an organization that may want to host a blood drive so that their members or employees could donate blood more conveniently than stopping off at the donor center. But we do operate 4 a day, and sometimes on our buses we can go one place in the morning and then go another place in the afternoon if they're a small business and they're going to see about 10 people. So we could have 4 to 5 events a day. But we do have staff here that work with volunteers that set these blood drives up and make sure enough people come to make it cost efficient for us to be there.
Right. That involves a lot. When you say cost efficient, then what type of bulk volume do you need to go service facility or business?
We want about no less than 10 units, that we can go for a couple hours for 10 units and it can be cost efficient. Of course, we're not for profit, so as cost efficient as we can be, the better. We often go to larger blood drives. We can see blood drives up to about 150, 200 people. And our high schools are pretty large blood drives. You mentioned those earlier. But we can go as small as about 10 units. But if you don't have enough people in your organization or on site for 10 units, we do have the opportunity for the organization to adopt a day at our donor center on Wabash.
Okay, and that brings up another good point. You have two places you could donate now. For years, you just had 7th Street.
You bet.
And then it closed down, and now you have 2 locations. Tell me where they are exactly.
I'll give you a little history. December of 1971, we opened our doors on 7th Street, and that was our lab, our administrative office, our donor center where donors could come and give, and we grew out about, well, a long time ago we grew out of that place, but a couple years back we did build our 10th Street location, a new site for our administrative and our lab services, and then about a year later, we moved out of 7th Street completely and moved our donor center over to West Wabash, over to the Wabash building. It is located between Carl Sandburg School, right there by Goodwill. There's a couple other great organizations in that building. United Way's in there, if you know where they're located.
It sits right across from Goodwill, right?
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it. So we collect blood at Wabash, and then we do all of our administrative work and our lab work here at the 10th Street facility.
Do you do any collection here?
We do not.
Okay.
When we first opened our 10th Street facility for admin and lab, we did host a few blood drives simply because we knew donors would be interested in what we were doing here and what was here. So we did offer donations on our bus and then tours of the facility once they were done donating. So, but not regularly.
Not regularly.
Yep.
Would you have any idea of when your next open house or something would be if people wanted to see what's in this magnificent building of yours?
They can certainly contact me. I'd be more than happy to give anyone a tour of either our 10th Street location or our donor center on Wabash. I can be reached directly, 241-7542. If you want a tour, contact me and I'd be more than happy to give a tour. But we did do a Chamber of Commerce open house here, a Good Morning Springfield, and we did a ribbon cutting and a groundbreaking. So for both locations, we did a ribbon cutting for our donor center as well. So all of our open houses are kind of done, but anytime anyone wants a tour, I'd be more than happy.
Come right on over and just ask for you.
Well, if you could give me a call and let me know
Okay.
when ahead of time, that would be great. I'm often doing stuff like this, presentations to the community, so I may not be in the office, but if you give me a call, you most certainly, I can schedule something with you.
Okay. What about who benefits from the donations here in Central Illinois? How far reaching is the donation area?
You got it. We supply blood to 14 counties. And that goes as far west as Pike County, right on the Illinois border, as far south as Bond County, as far north as Tazewell County, and as far east as Christian County, which isn't very far east, but central Illinois.
Yeah. Includes Taylorville?
Includes Taylorville. Right. I can ramble off a few of the hospitals that we do supply. We, of course, both hospitals in Decatur, both hospitals here in Springfield, Lincoln, Jacksonville, Carrollton, Carlinville.
What about Peoria?
Not Peoria.
Not
We do
Peoria.
not go as far north as Peoria. I believe
Okay.
that's Mason County,
Okay.
but we do not go that far.
So people can come in, donate blood or platelets. Which is there a bigger need for?
It depends on your type, really. We always need all types for whole blood donation. But for platelet donation, it's more type specific, simply because platelets last just 7 days. And of course, we need a little time for testing to make sure it's a very safe product for the patient. So because of its short shelf life, we do require certain blood types, and then we also require appointments. Donors that want to donate platelets have to schedule an appointment because we want to make sure it's the right type at the right time for platelets. For whole blood donation, it's a little bit different. Whole blood helps a broader spectrum of patients, and it lasts 42 days. So any blood type for whole blood, we do take donation appointments for whole blood donations. However, if you're in the neighborhood and you just stop into our donor center, we'd be more than happy to see you and to draw a unit.
What are the criteria for donating blood? Like I had once heard that you basically, if you went overseas, you couldn't donate blood? Or how does that work now?
Generally, you'd want to check to see with us specifically where you went. And here's why. Overseas is very general, and there are lots of places that you can go and still donate. The risks are a malarial area. So some places in Africa, there's going to be a malarial risk, and we want to make sure that there is no chance that that donor is going to give malaria through their unit of blood. So we ask they wait a year to make sure they don't get any symptoms, come down with anything before they're able to donate again. But again, it really depends on where you go. There's certain areas that you can go, cities, and if you don't go outside of those cities, you're fine.
Now, is that a lifetime ban? Like, for instance, I went to Africa back in the 80s. So would that still affect me?
Absolutely not. A malarial travel where there's malarial risk is only 1 year, 12 months.
Okay.
We do have some locations in Europe that had some mad cow disease risk, where if you were in the military and served more than 3 months during a specific time frame, then you are permanently deferred simply because we don't know enough about the human form of mad cow disease. So we are not allowing anyone who lived there longer than 3 months to donate. That may change. We may learn more moving forward, but right now, for the safety of the blood supply, there are some European places that you can't have traveled to. And
For example?
United Kingdom. There's some locations in the United Kingdom, but it's specifically between the years of I don't have them right handy with me.
Right. I didn't mean to.
That's okay. But it's between 1980s and the 1990s. If you spent more than 3 months or more there, you're going to be permanently deferred.
Really?
And that is simply because of the risk of mad cow disease, which the human form is called Creutzfeldt-Jakob's disease. So.
Well, I'm not going to try to repeat that.
Okay.
What time of year is blood needed the most again? Of course, you've got the seasonal factors that do factor into giving of blood, but is there more activity in the summer, or is it in the winter?
Actually, the hardest time to collect blood is during the summer months and then during the month of December. Really, during the summer, kids are out of school. There's things to do outside, there's schedules change, and we drop down a little bit on the priority list for blood donation, but we do creative, strategic things to draw attention to ourselves during the summer months. And during the month of December, you can only imagine preparing for the holiday. Kids are again out of school towards the end of the month, families in town. We have to be creative during those times of year.
And by doing that, you also see contests come up, like between the firemen and the police officers?
You got it, you got it. Historically, we have had a competition between fire services and law enforcement, and it was a friendly competition, really for bragging rights there towards the end. But
it was like a pie in the face or something.
Yeah, indeed. We did some pretty fun things. We had a dunk tank one year, a pie in the face one year, a couple years, I believe. But it really pits law enforcement and fire services, those who see firsthand the need for blood. They're the biggest champions we have because they see every day the reasons behind why we need to transfuse blood. Trauma patients, car accidents, they're there.
Do you ever work in conjunction with the American Red Cross?
We do not. We are not affiliated with each other.
Okay.
How we like to live here at the Community Blood Center is we go to areas we serve to collect, so that the blood we're collecting is going to go to the hospital that we're supplying in that area. So we tend to supply different areas and collect in different areas. But we do once in a while bump into each other, and we work together. We're all for the same cause. We want to make sure that there's blood there for patients, and it's just really depends on what hospitals are supplied by the organization.
Okay. You've been here 14 years. Mm-hmm. So tell me, what brought you here? What was the driving force to make your longevity such?
Usually you'll find blood donors that donate all the time have a personal experience that kind of brings them back every time to donate, and that's very similar for me. My grandfather was diagnosed with leukemia. I wasn't even born yet, but my father donated blood his whole life because he saw firsthand the need for blood. And so I grew up with, you're a 5-gallon donor. He has a plaque, he has a coffee mug, and so I grew up with it. And when I had the opportunity to apply for a job here, it made it a little more important for me to get on and be part of this organization. And there's no turning back. And once you work for a wonderful not-for-profit and you go home every day and know you're helping people, you're saving lives, you don't want to go. You don't want to leave.
Caring for people.
You got it.
Yeah, that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
And so for individuals out there that may have thought about giving blood but have never done it, there's really, there are little benefits like you mentioned, a coffee mug or a t-shirt or something of that manner. But what is the core benefit for giving blood?
I really don't think our donors donate for those t-shirts. Those are little tokens of appreciation ultimately, a way for them to be proud of what they do. But every donor has their own reason why they give, and I'm just glad they do. I really appreciate our donors. We have a very high rate of return, so our donors are not only donors, they're loyal donors. And but I believe everyone has a different reason, but saving lives is such a great one. Such a great one.
That would be a key reason to be involved. How many people do you have working in this building?
In this building, I can go with we have about over 100 employees that work out of Springfield. Like I said, we do 4 to 5 drives a day, so a lot of those staff check in here in the morning, and they go on out for the day, and then they come back at night to bring everything back. So over 100 people work out of this building, but in the building on a daily basis, about 1/4 of those work here. We have a lot of our staff that do travel and work those blood drives.
So the administrative staff in the lab is here, and so, I mean, which is more? Is it more administrative or is it more lab?
It's more administrative. Our lab, we have a distribution lab, and that is the area responsible for getting the units that have passed through testing, that are available for distribution, to the hospitals that we serve. And then we have a reference lab that I believe there's just less than a handful of people that work in our reference lab, but we can really treat a unit of blood not just by type, but we can test it down to proteins and antibodies. And when a patient receives transfusion after transfusion after transfusion, they build up a resistance. You know, hey, wait a minute, what are you doing? So when you can get a match down to the proteins and down to the antibodies, that patient is going to receive that blood better. It's going to make them feel better getting that blood. So we do that. That's nationwide testing. So we, not just for the hospitals we supply, we test for them, but then for other hospitals as well.
Now, different types of blood. Got to be one blood more wanted than the other blood.
You
right?
got it.
O positive or something like that. So what is the big need of blood type?
It's funny that you mention O type because that is our most needed. During the summer months, during December, this time of year, we need all types. But O negative is a very unique type. O negative donors can donate their blood to anyone. So if someone goes into the emergency room, a trauma patient, and they don't know what their blood type is, they're going to immediately transfuse O negative blood until they can find out their true blood type. The unique part about being an O neg donor is if you turn and you're an O neg patient, the only type you can receive is O negative. And O negative is about 8% of the population. So we always need O negative. If you are an O negative donor, we encourage you to donate as often as possible. Just there's not a lot of you, and it's very used.
And when a person comes in and that wants to donate blood, do they call first, or can they just walk in to the facility on Wabash and say, I want to donate blood? And didn't you have like a form that they fill out when they come in, and it asks them all sorts of questions?
Yes, and that actually brings up a whole other topic, but I'll start with the beginning of your question.
Sure.
When a donor wants to donate, they can do either. We're pretty flexible. If you want to call first, we can schedule an appointment for you. We can give you as much information you need, answer any questions you have, more than happy to do so. But again, if you're in the neighborhood and you just want to come in and try and see if you can give blood, bring a photo ID and yourself and your willingness to help, and we will most certainly put you in a donor chair.
Do they actually test your blood before you do the donation, or they test it after that?
We do a blood typing test after the donation. It comes back usually about 48 hours later, so if you're not sure what your blood type is, we can tell you. Come in and donate a pint of blood, and that's part of our everyday testing. So in about 2 days, we'll know what your blood type is, and we can share that with you.
Now, God forbid, somebody come in, donate blood, and you find out something horrific with that blood. Is that basically the responsibility of the blood center to notify that patient?
Oh, most certainly. It is our ethical responsibility to notify that person. We do 14 tests on every single unit of blood. And if we do find a positive test, our medical director will contact that donor and work through that with them.
Okay. Oh, that would be such an important thing.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. What about, is there anything maybe I haven't asked you yet that you want to get out to the public?
Well, actually, the second part of that is you asked about a form that they fill out when they arrive at the blood center. And that, if you flip it over, there's all the questions we ask to ensure a safe blood product and to make sure it's safe for the donor to donate. Well, that's going to change on February 1st. We are going to, in an effort to minimize any kind of human error or just not to use as much paper. We're going to a touch screen where donors can come into the donor screening area and they answer their questions on a touch screen. And that hasn't started yet, but that is something really big that we're transitioning to within our organization, and it starts February 1st. So,
wow, I hit the right time.
You
didn't I?
You did.
And that's going to be at the facility on Wabash?
Everywhere. Everywhere we draw blood. So any mobile blood drive that we're at,
It'll be there.
It'll be there. And they're going to be on tablets. On mobile blood drives, but at our donor center, it'll be a touch screen inside that donor screening room.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was that? It is that
yeah,
all I
mean
missed?
it's pretty exciting. It doesn't take much to excite me, but it is a big change for us.
Right.
And donors will see that moving forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, certainly appreciate you letting me come in here and pick your brain.
Thank you.
And find out a little bit more about the Blood Center, considering it's been a couple of years since I've been around the Blood Center. And you have a wonderful place here, and I hope you have tremendous success in the future.
Thank you so much.
And thank you very much. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining us today on location, and we're still waiting to hear from you. All you got to do is write us at Beatty Televisual, 1287 Wabash Avenue, Springfield, Illinois, 62704. Again, that's Beatty Televisual, 1287 Wabash Avenue, Springfield, Illinois, 62704. Or just simply give us a call at 217-787-7474. Thanks for joining us this Sunday, and we'll see you next Sunday right here on location.